Hey guys, Yips here, coming with another video, and this one is going to be about Reap Souls. Now, Reap is a very important ability. What it does is it increases your damage by 10% and also doubles the effects of all your traits. Now, I've made a video on this in the past, but Reap has changed quite a bit since then. Specifically, they have added a 5-second cooldown in it. That means when you press Reap Souls, you can no longer just spam it. You have to wait 5 seconds before you can press it again. This I think is a good thing, but it can also be misleading on how to play with Reap Souls. So I'm going to talk about the do's and don'ts with Reap as well as just how to play it. So first things first, I want to talk about the don'ts. So I'm just going to be talking while I attack the boss here in the background, just while I'm generating a Reap. The things that you do not want to do with Reap is you do not want to spam it on cooldown. I look at a lot of Warlock's logs, and when they're attacking a boss, what they tend to do is they tend to press Reap Souls whenever they have it. They're just, they're going about their regular single target rotation, which they know pretty well. They're just casting UAs, and they just, whenever they have Reap, they're just going to be pressing it. So have 3 stacks, they press it, they wait, they might be attacking the boss, and they might generate another Reap while that 3 stack is going. Reap will be off cooldown, they'll just press it again, just mindlessly using the cooldown. That's definitely not how you want to do it. Sometimes it is beneficial to mindlessly press Reap in this way, but most of the time you want to be saving your stacks for when you have a lot of damage, particularly in the terms of Unstable Affliction and in Phantom Singularity and Soul Harvest. So that leads me to the do's of Reap Soul. So that's kind of the only big don't, is to kind of chain your Reap. You don't want to be spamming the button all the time. If you keep spamming Reap all the time, you're just never going to have any when you actually need it. And that's really the only don't for Reap. Now we'll talk about the do's. So how do you want to play with Reap? You want to save it for things like Soul Harvest. So that's a pretty easy one. Things like Soul Harvest or Phantom Singularity, a lot of the time in Raid when I'm playing on a boss fight encounter, when say I have Soul Harvest on cooldown and it's about 1 minute from coming back up, I'll stop using Reap altogether. I will no longer use Reap. I won't dump a lot of UAs into the boss. I'll save my UAs. I'll save my Reap. So when Soul Harvest comes out off cooldown, I have a large amount of Tormented Soul Stack saved up over the course of that minute. I'm able to press it and use my Reap that way and have it align with that. So I'm able to do additional damage over the course of my Soul Harvest, because adding multipliers together is a lot better than using them separately. So you don't want to Reap into Soul Harvest. You want to use them at the same time to get that 20% benefit on top of the damage that Reap already gives to you. So that's one really important thing to do. So you see here I have about 38 seconds to where I can be generating Reap and kind of using this whenever I want. But then when Soul Harvest gets around 1 minute to 30 seconds left, I will stop using all of my Reap together, try to generate some stacks that way. And usually, I know I've never been in a situation where if I stop using Reap for 30 seconds, I don't have any. So at least when your Soul Harvest or even your Phantom Singularity is starting to come off cooldown, start thinking about that. Start thinking about saving Reap Souls and using it. Now, the other thing you want to be doing with your Reap Souls is you want to be saving it for when you have a lot of shards. This also corresponds with a don't, which is don't use Reap when you have no shards. But when you have a lot of shards and you have a lot of Reap bank, this is going to be a good time to use it. So a lot of the time on a fight, if I'm not RNGing too hard on shards, I'll have a lot of Reap built up. And what you can do is you can use that Reap with a lot of shards. Note how I'm not using these 3 stacks, I'm saving it. And what I'm actually doing is just prolonging the duration of this Reap. So I'm just casting UAs during the duration of this Reap, maintaining that contagion ups time. And when the Reap starts to get a little bit lower, what you can actually do is cast a few more UAs just kind of to fit them in within that Reap window. The last UA you cast should be around at the 7 to 8 second mark, to where you're going to get that full ticked UA in just before it finishes off. And then, you've done a really big burst over the course of that window. So say you have 6 stacks of Reap and you have 5 shards, you can work those 5 shards throughout the duration of that Reap. You don't have to cast them all at once. So you don't want to be doing something like this. You don't want to have 4 shards and 7 stacks of Reap, press all of that Reap Souls and spam all your UAs into the boss like this. Well, now you don't have any UAs for the rest of the Reap duration. You want to be chaining those UAs throughout the duration of the Reap in order to maximize the benefit of your UAs under the effects of Malefic Grasp. You want to benefit the effects of the Reap, as well as just the contagion uptime as well, okay? So those are some really basic ways on how to play with Reap. Just make sure you're not chaining your Reap together. Don't be pressing it off cooldown. Make sure you're thinking about when you use it. Align it with cooldowns, align it with shard uptime, and align it when you're able to get a lot of draining in, because draining is a huge part of your single target damage. So if you're able to do that, I think it will help you improve on your Reap gameplay. It's a little bit hard to do because it's not like a cooldown like a warrior's avatar that you can just line it up. It's something you have to do within all of your other abilities that affect it, okay? So thanks for watching. Hopefully this has helped you learn a little bit more about how to play with Reap Souls in this patch and in the next one, and I'll see you guys later.